So we are going to go a little bit old school today. I'm going to show you how to make a favorite childhood dish of mine growing up, which is the paratha. You might know them as paratha or different names. It's just leavened bread stuffed with all kinds of wonderful different fillings. I'm going to show you how to make a mooli one today, which is the daikon. I'm going to show you how to grate it, spice it, get the most out of it, and make a beautiful dough. And I'll show you how to cook these so they're nice and crispy with a beautiful inside. Traditionally served with some yogurt and some lovely achar, which is kind of like pickles. So I'll show you how to make all of this. This is going to be an absolute treat because my mum used to make these for me growing up. So hopefully I do this one justice. And every household has their own version of making one of these. So let me know in the comments how you make yours at home. Okay, let's get into it.
So we're going to start with one humongous mooli or daikon. You don't need this much, but it's the only one I could find. It's about 600 grams. You only need about 400. Peel it and then cut it into some manageable pieces because we are going to grate this. So for this one, I'm going to cut it into 4. Okay, then you're going to get a bowl, put a grater in there and start grating. Be careful not to shred your skin. So take your time with this job. I've cut myself many a time doing this in the past. Plenty yelping. Now we're going to season this with some salt and that's going to draw out the moisture. Mix that through, cover this with some cling film and set it aside for about 20 minutes. Or 10 if you're in a pinch, but I'd recommend 20. Okay, after it's been resting, you can take it out. So much liquid is going to come out of this radish. So what we're going to do is we're going to squeeze this as much as we can. Just look at all that juice. And then we're going to save all that juice and we're going to actually strain that off. And that is going to go into our dough to make an amazing mooli paratha. Now we're going to add spices to our mooli. We're going to put a teaspoon or 3 grams of ajwain seed, karum seed. Rub it between your hands to release it. Half a teaspoon of ground cumin. And then we're going to put half a teaspoon of ground coriander, a quarter teaspoon or a good pinch of turmeric, and then quarter teaspoon of chili powder. You can put a bit more if you want it spicy. Half a teaspoon of garam masala, and then we're going to finely dice 1 green chili. Again, if you want it spicy, put in 2. And then we're going to put half a teaspoon each of ginger and garlic paste. Always have this on hand, my friends. And then add just under a teaspoon of amchur powder, which is dried mango skin powder. Gives it a lovely sweet tart flavor. Now mix this all through and set this aside. After you've given it a taste, of course, you might need to add a bit more salt, like I did there. If the mixture feels a little bit wet, you can also add a little bit of cornstarch as well. Right, okay, set this aside. Now we're going to make our dough. We need 300 grams of atta, which is basically like an Indian whole wheat flour. A teaspoon of ajwain seed again, grind that with your hands. And then we're going to put a teaspoon of nigella seed, which is kalonji, and then some salt. And we're going to put about a teaspoon of oil of your choice. I'm using a bit of an extra virgin here. And then we're going to start adding all the juice from the radish that we had from before. Lovely, lovely. Look at that. Add it in bit by bit. Mix it as you go. And then this dough sometimes needs a bit more liquid on top of all the mooli juice as well. So once you've got that all in, I'm going to mix this through and I can already tell I'm going to need a little bit more water. So you're just going to add little splashes as you go until you get it to a nice kind of pliable dough-like consistency. Knead it for about 4 or 5 minutes, nothing too crazy outside of the bowl. Has a little spring back like that, perfect. Rub a touch of oil over it, put it in a bowl and let it chill out for about half an hour covered. After your dough has rested, you're going to portion these up roughly into 4. That'll give you some pretty good substantial paratha. You can make them a bit smaller too as well, but 4's a good number to start with for a dough like this. Okay, roll it just like you would a bread roll. We're going to put it into our flour, which is our atta there, and we're just going to start rolling it. So make a turn on each roll just like this. Pretty standard way to do your flatbread chapati. It's the same kind of a principle like we've done in some of our other videos. You can feather the edges like this and make them a little bit thinner than the middle. Then you're going to put a nice little wodge in the middle, about a good tablespoon and a half or so. And then I'm going to show you a couple of ways to do this. You can bring the dough up like this and just pleat it and pinch as you go. It's just kind of like making a dumpling. Make sure you seal everything, give it a good pinch, give it a little twist and then just push that in. And then we're going to put that in a bit more flour, flatten that down, and then we're going to roll it on the other side. Now, when you're rolling this, don't put too much pressure on it because you don't want all your filling to explode. So just go gently into the night, sweet friends, and make your little quarter turns after each roll. This will just help you get some nice consistency. And as you're going, all that mooli is going to basically incorporate itself into the dough. If a little bit peeks through, it's not the end of the world. Give it a little flip over and roll the other side with the same principle, being a little bit gentle as you go. If you feel like you need a bit more flour, you can just rub off excess or use what's on your counter. You want to roll these out to about 8-9 inches or so. You want a fairly substantial paratha. They don't want to be thin. They're not like roti or chapati. So you want them a little bit thicker. Just put them on a non-stick sheet like this and cover it with a tea towel while you work your way through and do the rest. Now another technique is you can hollow out the middle like this, put it in your hand, and then just put in some filling, another good wodge, and then pinch all the sides together, twisting it around as you go and pushing the filling in with your thumb. Go into the middle, make sure it's all sealed and there's no holes, give it a little pinch, put it back into your flour, flip it over, flatten it down, and repeat the same process. You're gonna roll and turn, roll and turn. Now it's customary for me to do a little dance when my chapatis or rotis are coming out fairly round. I'm quite happy with that because when I first started making these, they did not look like that. They looked like continents on a map. Beautiful. And then repeat the process, add a nice little wodge of your mooli in the middle, and I'm going to show you how to do this again. You can just go around pleat, pleat, and twist and lift it up like a purse, going all the way round. Once you get good at this repetition, you can obviously be a little bit faster. Pinch it all together as you go, give it a nice little twist, flatten it down, and flip it over and roll it just like before. Beautiful. Being gentle just like before. Now what we're going to do when we cook these is we need something called a tawa, which is basically a skillet without the sides. I don't have one of those, so I'm going to use a skillet. Get it hot on a low medium heat, put it in dry first for about 30-40 seconds, then we're going to flip it, and then on this top side we're going to put some oil or ghee. I'm using ghee, about half a teaspoon, and then we're going to flip that over again. That's going to start to color, push down the edges and repeat the process. Put a little bit of ghee, go around the edges nicely, and then we're going to flip that again. If it goes a little bit too dark, that means your pan's a little bit too hot. These actually look nice and crispy, which is perfect for me. And then we're going to give it one more little flip, and then we're going to set that aside. If you keep the heat low, it can take you about 5 to 6 minutes per paratha sometimes. Now I'm going to put the heat down again and repeat the process and cook the rest. Ideally cook these on low, so don't forget to butter after the first flip and the other side on the other flip. You can also add a bit of ghee around the edges of the paratha, and that just helps to cook out that dough. And push them down with your flipper so you don't get any raw dough. Now when they're done, store them in a cloth to keep them nice and warm, and serve them up with some yogurt and pickle, aka dahi and achar. Enjoy.
These are unbelievable. Got to get into one of these parathas. I mean, look at this. Ooh. Look at the filling. You can just see the beautiful mooli filling in there. Smells amazing. Now, the way to do this, get yourself a bit of pickle. And you get some of your dahi, your yogurt, and you just want to dip in. Cheers. I think my mum would be proud of those. The mooli, the daikon is spiced just right. Really nice flavors. You can make an aloo paratha for sure, but a mooli paratha done right is delicious, especially with the juice when you salt it. Really, really tasty. I'm gonna give some to the missus too. Here you go, love. Nice. Highly recommend making these. Not too difficult to do. Give them a go. You can make a ton and you can freeze them as well. If you like this content and you find it interesting, please think about subscribing. Appreciate all of you that have done so far. Right, time to finish the rest of this with maybe a cup of tea. I'll see you on the next one.